He thought she was just another poor girl chasing his wealth. So he embarrassed her, broke her heart, and walked away without looking back. But when a limousine pulled up moments later and the driver bowed to her, his world turned upside down. This is not just a love story. It's a powerful journey of pride, heartbreak, and unexpected truths. Hello, family. Welcome to Storytime Betrayal. Kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel for more interesting videos. Like and share this video to your friends and loved ones. Thank you as you do so. Sit back, relax as we dive into the story. Emily Carter sat quietly at a small table inside Maple Cafe, a peaceful coffee shop in the middle of Los Angeles. It was a cozy place with wooden chairs, warm lights, and the sweet smell of coffee and fresh bread. The cafe was Emily's favorite spot. It reminded her of simpler times, where love meant more than money. She wore a neat blue dress and simple white shoes. Her hair was tied in a low bun, and her face had no makeup, just her natural beauty. She looked down at the sparkling ring on her finger. It was an engagement ring from her fiancé, Nathan Hayes, and it meant the world to her. She loved Nathan with all her heart and believed he loved her too. But she didn't know that today would change everything. Nathan, on the other hand, was driving toward the cafe with a storm in his heart. He had just met up with his college friend, Marcus, a rich and arrogant man who liked to gossip and show off. "You're really going to marry that girl, Emily?" Marcus had said, laughing. "She looks like she came from the village. No designer clothes, no big family name, nothing. You can do better, man." Nathan had smiled at the time, but the words stayed in his head. Marcus's voice kept repeating in his mind. "She's not like us. She's not rich. She's not good enough." Nathan came from a rich family. His parents were business owners who cared more about image than love. They always told him, "Marry someone with your class." And today, Nathan was beginning to believe them. He parked his shiny car outside the cafe and walked in, wearing his expensive shoes and gold watch. Emily looked up with a wide smile when she saw him. "Nathan, you're here," she said happily. "I ordered your favorite drink, caramel latte." But Nathan didn't smile. He sat down slowly and looked serious. "We need to talk," he said in a cold voice. Emily's smile faded. "What's wrong?" Nathan took a deep breath. "I've been thinking about us. Emily, I don't think we're a match." Emily looked confused. "What do you mean?" "I mean, we live in two different worlds," he said, avoiding her eyes. "You don't come from a wealthy family. You wear simple clothes, live in a small apartment. You've never even told me what your parents do." Emily blinked. Her heart began to pound. "So, you're saying I'm not good enough for you?" Nathan stayed quiet for a moment, then pushed the ring box across the table. "I'm sorry, Emily. I don't think this will work." Emily's heart shattered into pieces. Her hands shook as she looked at the ring box, then back at Nathan. "I loved you," she whispered. "I thought you loved me too." Nathan looked away. "I do care about you, but I have a name to protect. A future. People are watching me." Emily stood up slowly. Her voice was soft but firm. "You never once asked me who I really am. You never cared to know. You just assumed I had nothing because I dress simple." She removed the ring from her finger and placed it gently on the table. "You've made your choice. Goodbye, Nathan." She walked out of the cafe, leaving Nathan sitting alone. He watched her walk away, feeling a strange pain in his chest, but his pride told him he did the right thing. Then something strange happened. Just a few steps outside the cafe, a long, black limousine pulled up in front of Emily. It was shiny and expensive, with dark windows and a smart-looking driver in a suit. Nathan stood up, confused. Was this a mistake? The driver stepped out and opened the door for Emily. "Miss Carter," he said with respect, "your father is on the phone. He wishes to speak with you." Emily took the phone, nodded politely, and got into the limo. She didn't even glance back at Nathan. The car slowly drove away, leaving Nathan shocked and frozen. "Miss Carter," he repeated to himself. "A limo? A driver? Her father?" Suddenly, he realized something terrible. Emily wasn't poor at all. And he had just thrown away the one woman who truly loved him without knowing the full story. Nathan stood outside Maple Cafe, staring at the road where the black limousine had just disappeared. His heart was racing. His mind felt like it was spinning in circles. What just happened? He had broken up with Emily only minutes ago because he thought she was too simple, too plain, not from his class. And then, just like a movie, a luxury limousine came and took her away. The driver had called her Miss Carter. She had a personal driver, and she didn't even look surprised. Nathan walked slowly back to his car, but he couldn't bring himself to drive. He sat inside, gripping the steering wheel with both hands. He remembered how Emily had always been kind, polite, and full of life. She never talked much about her background, and he never asked. Now he realized something important. He had judged her without knowing her. He dropped his head against the steering wheel. I messed up. That night, Nathan couldn't sleep. He tossed and turned in bed, thinking about Emily's last words. You never care to know. He remembered the time she offered to pay for dinner, but he always refused, thinking she couldn't afford it. He remembered when she once came to their date in a simple car, but now he wondered if that car was just a choice. The next morning, he decided he had to know the truth. Nathan drove to the apartment where Emily used to live. It was a quiet street lined with trees and old buildings. He had been there a few times before, but this time, when he knocked on the door, a different lady answered. Excuse me, Nathan said politely. Does Emily Carter still live here? The lady shook her head.
Oh no.
She moved out just yesterday. Said she was going back to her family estate. Estate? Nathan repeated, surprised. The woman nodded. Big house outside the city. I think her family owns land or something. Nathan's heart skipped. He got back into his car and pulled out his phone. He typed Emily Carter Family Los Angeles's into the search bar. His eyes widened as the first article appeared. Richard Carter, founder of Carter Holdings, net worth $3.1 billion. There, beside the article, was a photo of Richard Carter, and standing beside him at a charity event, smiling with grace and poise, was Emily. Nathan dropped his phone in shock. Emily Carter was the only daughter of a billionaire. He felt like the ground had been pulled out from under him. All the things Marcus had said, all the reasons he thought she wasn't good enough, they were all wrong. She didn't wear fancy clothes because she was humble. She lived simply because she didn't want to be treated differently. And he had treated her exactly how the world treated people who didn't look rich. 2 days later, Nathan was still in disbelief. He couldn't eat. He couldn't work. And most of all, he couldn't forget the look in Emily's eyes when she said goodbye. Then something surprising happened. One morning, while he was sitting at the cafe again, trying to clear his mind, a man in a suit approached him. Are you Mr. Nathan Hayes? The man asked politely. Yes. The man handed him a sealed envelope and said, Miss Emily Carter asked me to deliver this to you. Nathan took it slowly, confused. The man nodded respectfully and walked away. Nathan's fingers shook slightly as he opened the envelope. Inside was a short letter in Emily's handwriting. Nathan, I want you to know that I never hid who I was. I just didn't want to be loved for my name, my money, or my background. I wanted someone who saw me, the real me. I thought that person was you. But now I know that love built on pride can't last. I hope you find what you're truly looking for. Emily. Nathan stared at the words, his chest tight with guilt. He had hurt her deeply, and now she was gone. But this time he wasn't going to walk away. He was going to fix it, even if it meant facing her powerful family and earning back her trust, step by step. Nathan sat alone at the cafe table, still holding Emily's letter in his hands. He read it again and again. Each word felt like a knife in his chest. He never imagined Emily could be so powerful, so strong, and yet so gentle with her words. He had lost her, not because she left, but because he pushed her away. But one thing was now clear in Nathan's heart. He still loved her. Not because she was rich, not because of her father's billions, but because she was Emily, the same woman who once laughed at his bad jokes, brought him soup when he had the flu, and believed in love without needing anything in return. And now he needed to win her back. That evening, Nathan dressed neatly and drove to the address he found online, the Carter family estate, just outside Los Angeles. It wasn't just a big house. It looked like something out of a movie. Tall white gates guarded the long driveway. Security guards stood on both sides, watching carefully. Nathan parked outside, walked up, and spoke to the guard. "I'm here to see Emily Carter," he said, trying to sound confident. The guard looked at his clipboard. "Do you have an appointment, sir?" "No," Nathan replied honestly. "But I really need to talk to her. Please, it's important." The guard made a call, spoke for a few seconds, then turned back to Nathan. "Miss Carter is not taking visitors at the moment. Please leave." Nathan's heart sank, but he nodded and stepped back. He looked at the mansion through the gates. Somewhere inside that huge house was the woman he hurt, the woman he now missed more than anything. The next day, Nathan went again. This time he brought flowers, white lilies, her favorite. The guard stopped him again. "Sorry, sir. Miss Carter said no visitors." Nathan didn't argue. He placed the flowers near the gate and left. And then he came back the next day. And the next. Each day, he left something small, a note, a flower, or even her favorite chocolate bar. He didn't expect her to come running. He just wanted her to know he wasn't giving up. Inside the mansion, Emily watched from her bedroom window every day. She saw Nathan come and go. She saw the flowers. She read the notes. And deep inside her, something began to ache. She hadn't stopped loving him. She was just afraid. Afraid that he still cared about her money more than her heart. Her father, Mr. Richard Carter, noticed her quiet mood. One evening, as they sat in the grand living room, he spoke gently. "Emily, I've seen the young man. He's been outside the gate for 4 days now." Emily looked down at her hands. "He hurt me, Dad. He said I wasn't enough." Richard nodded slowly. "Yes, he made a mistake. But sometimes love needs to be tested before it becomes real." She looked at her father with soft eyes. "How will I know if he truly changed?" He smiled. "Maybe give him a chance to prove it." The next morning, Nathan came again, but this time the gates opened. He blinked in surprise as the guard waved him in. Slowly, he drove up the long driveway and parked in front of the mansion. His hands were sweating as he stepped out of the car. A butler led him through the marble halls of the estate. The walls were covered in paintings. The chandeliers sparkled like diamonds. Everything screamed wealth, but Nathan wasn't here for any of that. At last, the butler stopped in front of a grand double door and opened it. Inside stood Emily. She wore a simple cream dress and had her hair down, soft around her shoulders. Her eyes were calm, but distant. Nathan took a slow step forward. "Emily," he said, voice low, "I'm so sorry. I judged you before I ever truly knew you. I let pride and fear control me. I thought love was about matching backgrounds. But now I know love is about matching hearts." Emily looked at him silently. Then she spoke. "You broke my heart, Nathan. I trusted you." "I know," he whispered. "And I'll spend the rest of my life proving I deserve a second chance, if you'll let me." There was silence. Then Emily took a step closer. "You really came every day?" she asked. He smiled softly. "Every single day." Her eyes filled with tears. "I never stopped loving you," she said, her voice shaking. Nathan stepped forward and gently took her hands. "I love you, Emily," with or without the last name Carter. And in that moment, something in Emily's heart melted. They stood there, face to face, two people who had made mistakes but also had a chance to begin again. Nathan gently held Emily's hands in his as they stood in the large room, surrounded by the quiet beauty of her family estate. For a moment, the world outside faded. It was just the two of them, no money, no family names, no pride. Just a man who made a mistake, and a woman who still loved him. "I love you, Emily," Nathan said again, his voice full of emotion. "Not because of who your father is. Not because of how much money your family has. I love you because you're you. The same girl who made me believe in real love." Emily looked into his eyes. She saw honesty. She saw regret. And more than anything, she saw love. "I want to believe you," she whispered, "but my heart is scared." Nathan nodded. Then let me show you. One day at a time. Emily didn't speak. She slowly leaned forward and rested her head on his chest. Nathan wrapped his arms around her gently. It was the first hug they'd shared since that painful moment at the cafe, and it felt like home. Over the next few weeks, Emily decided to give Nathan a second chance, but carefully. She didn't rush into anything. This time she wanted to be sure. Nathan visited her every evening. Sometimes they took walks around the gardens of the estate. Other times they sat by the fireplace and talked about life, childhood, dreams. Nathan opened up about his family, the pressure, the image, the expectations. He admitted that he had always feared being judged, and that fear made him judge others first. "I never told you this," he said one night, "but when I was 10, my dad told me never to marry anyone who wasn't from a rich family. He said love, without money, was a mistake." Emily looked at him softly. "Do you still believe that?" Nathan shook his head. "Not anymore. I'd rather be poor with you than rich with anyone else." Emily smiled. "Good. Because love is worth more than anything in the world." Meanwhile, Mr. Richard Carter, Emily's father, was watching all of this closely. He invited Nathan into his study one evening. The room was filled with books and business awards. Richard sat behind a large desk, looking serious but calm. "Nathan," he said, "I know about your background. I know your family runs a company. I also know you made a mistake with Emily." Nathan sat straight. "Yes, sir. I did. And I'm truly sorry." Richard leaned back and looked at him. "A man's strength isn't shown by how much money he makes. It's shown by how he handles his failures." Nathan nodded. "I've learned that, sir. And I'll keep learning every day." Richard gave a small smile. "Good. Because my daughter may be my only child, but she's also the strongest woman I know. She deserves someone who will love her right." "I promise to be that man," Nathan said firmly. Richard looked him in the eyes, paused for a moment, then said, "Then you have my blessing." Nathan felt his heart swell with relief. "Thank you, sir." One evening, Emily invited Nathan to a charity event hosted by her family. It was a formal night filled with important guests, lights, music, and cameras. Emily wore a beautiful wine-colored gown and looked stunning. Nathan wore a black suit and walked beside her, proud and humble. People stared. They whispered. Some knew what had happened between them, but Emily didn't care. She held Nathan's hand tightly in front of everyone. One woman walked up to Emily and smiled. "I see you brought a friend." Emily smiled back and said proudly, "He's not just a friend. He's the man I love." Nathan's eyes sparkled. That night, under the lights, music, and flashing cameras, Nathan finally felt what he had never felt before. Not pride, not fame, but peace. He was where he belonged. Not because of money, not because of status, but because he was with the woman who changed everything. That night after the charity event, Nathan and Emily sat together on a small balcony at the estate. The city lights sparkled in the distance, but the air around them was peaceful. Nathan looked at Emily and smiled. "Thank you for taking me tonight. It meant a lot to stand by your side." Emily leaned her head on his shoulder. "You stood by me even when people whispered. That meant more." They sat quietly, hearts connected. For the first time in weeks, everything felt right. But the calm didn't last for long. The next morning, Nathan received a surprise visit at his apartment. It was his father, Mr. Gerald Hayes, a proud, wealthy businessman with high standards and a cold attitude. "Nathan," he said sharply as he entered the apartment without waiting for an invitation. "I heard you're back with Emily Carter." Nathan stood up, calmly. "Yes, I am." Gerald frowned. "You broke up with her because she didn't meet our family's expectations. Now you're crawling back just because her father is rich." Nathan's jaw tightened. "No, Dad. I'm back with her because I love her. I made a mistake. I judged her without knowing her. But I've changed." Gerald scoffed. "Changed? Or chasing status? Do you think her father will hand you a golden key just because you're dating his daughter?" Nathan took a deep breath. I don't want anything from her family. I'm building my own life with her. His father glared at him. If you continue this relationship, don't expect support from me. You'll be on your own. Nathan stared at him, heart pounding. Then he said something he had never had the courage to say before. Then I'll be on my own. Gerald's face went blank. You're making a big mistake. No, Nathan replied, firm and steady. The real mistake was thinking money is more important than love. I won't make that mistake again. Later that day, Nathan met Emily at a quiet park. He told her everything about his father's visit, the argument, and how he stood up for her. I chose you, he said softly. No matter what I lose, I'll never let go of you again. Emily's eyes filled with tears. You stood up to your father for me? He nodded. I don't care about the family business. I care about us. I want to build something with you, on honesty, love, and respect. Emily smiled, wiping her tears. You don't know how much that means to me. She reached into her bag and pulled out a small velvet box. Nathan blinked. What's that? She opened it. Inside was a vintage wristwatch. This belonged to my grandfather, she said. It's the only thing I carry to remind me of the kind of man I want in my life. Strong, kind, brave. She placed the watch gently in Nathan's hand. I want you to have it. Nathan was speechless. Emily, this is too much. No, she said softly. You've already given me more. That weekend, Emily invited Nathan to a private dinner at the estate. Just a few family members and close friends were there. Even her father smiled warmly at him now. Halfway through dinner, Richard Carter stood and raised a glass. I once told my daughter to be careful with her heart, he said. But now, I see she gave it to someone worthy. Everyone clapped. Nathan blushed a little. Emily held his hand under the table. But just when things felt perfect again, an unexpected voice came from the entrance. Well, what a sweet picture. Everyone turned. It was Marcus, Nathan's old friend. The same one who had judged Emily and filled Nathan's head with lies back then. What are you doing here? Nathan asked, standing up. Marcus smirked. I came to see how far you've fallen, Nathan. You gave up your family's empire for what? A love story. Emily stood beside Nathan. This isn't just a story, she said calmly. This is real. Something you clearly don't understand. Marcus rolled his eyes. You think love is enough? Wait until real life hits you. Nathan looked at him straight. Real life already hit me, and it taught me what matters most. Marcus laughed bitterly, turned, and walked away. The door shut behind him with a loud click. That night, Emily looked at Nathan and said, Are you sure you're ready for this? People will keep judging. Some will never understand. Nathan looked deep into her eyes. Let them talk. As long as I have you, nothing else matters. And for the first time, Emily believed it with all her heart. That night, after the storm of Marcus's visit passed, Emily and Nathan sat quietly in the garden behind the estate. The night air was cool, and the stars shone like diamonds above them. Nathan gently held Emily's hand as they sat on a bench near the fountain. I used to think I needed the world's approval to be successful, Nathan said softly. But now I know I only need the approval of the person who truly knows my heart. Emily smiled at him. And I used to think love would only come if I hid who I really was. But you've shown me I don't have to hide anymore. They sat in silence for a moment, just listening to the soft sound of water flowing from the fountain. Then Nathan stood up slowly, turned to Emily, and dropped to one knee. Emily's eyes widened, her heart skipping a beat. Nathan took a small box from his pocket and opened it. Inside was a simple, beautiful diamond ring. Emily Carter, he said, looking up at her with eyes full of love. I lost you once because of fear and pride. I don't want to ever lose you again. Will you marry me? Not as a Carter, not as someone from a rich family, but as the woman I love with all my heart. Tears filled Emily's eyes. She brought her hand to her mouth and nodded, her voice trembling. Yes, Nathan. 1,000 times yes. He slipped the ring onto her finger and stood up. They embraced tightly, smiling and crying at the same time. In that moment, everything that had once gone wrong, every mistake, every painful word, was washed away by love. 3 months later, the wedding was small but beautiful, held in a peaceful garden behind the estate. Only close friends and family were invited. Emily wore a soft, flowing dress with delicate lace, and Nathan wore a navy blue suit with a gentle smile that never left his face. Emily's father, Richard Carter, walked her down the aisle with pride. When the minister said, "You may now kiss the bride," Nathan gently leaned in and kissed her, holding her like he'd never let go again. Everyone stood and clapped as they walked back down the aisle, husband and wife, partners, soulmates. At the reception, Gerald Hayes, Nathan's father, stood at the back, watching silently. He hadn't been invited, but he came anyway. When Nathan saw him, there was a moment of quiet between them. Nathan walked over, unsure of what to say. But Gerald spoke first. "You look happy," he said. "I am," Nathan replied simply. Gerald sighed. "I was wrong, son. I thought love was weak. But today I saw that love is stronger than pride. I'm proud of you." Nathan nodded slowly. "Thank you, Dad." They shook hands, and for the first time in years, there was peace between them. Later that evening, Nathan and Emily danced under soft lights strung through the trees. Music played gently in the background as they moved slowly, arms wrapped around each other. "Do you remember the cafe?" Emily whispered. "The day you chased me out?" Nathan winced playfully. "Don't remind me." She laughed softly and touched his face. "I'm glad you made that mistake." He looked at her, surprised. "Why?" "Because if you hadn't, you wouldn't have learned how to fight for me. And I wouldn't have known how strong we really are." Nathan smiled, pulling her closer. "Then here's to mistakes and second chances." They kissed under the stars, surrounded by the people who truly mattered. And though their journey had started with pain and misunderstanding, it ended in something far greater. Real love. The kind that doesn't care about money or family names. The kind that forgives. The kind that stays. That brings us to the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you do, click on the subscribe button for more videos and share this video to your friends and loved ones. Thanks for watching.